G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today, well, we're going to be checking these out. Now, these are the Fatshark Dominator V3s, and look, I'm pretty excited about this review because for a long time, I've flown these. Now, these are the Fatshark Attitude V2s, and the biggest difference between these and these ones, and this is a massive, I guess, talking point in the hobby and in the industry, is that these use a 4:3 sort of ratio and these ones use a 16:9. So that's why I was super stoked to get my hands on some of these, test them out for a bit of a review and see how they go, because previously I've only ever really flown with the goggle styles of 4:3, so I was very interested and also surprised to see just how these go. Anyway, we're going to be sticking on the bench, seeing what they come through, what they come with, and giving them a bit of a run through. I can't talk properly, and yeah, just checking them out. All right, let's get started. Alrighty, so you get this in a bit of a box, but here's everything, and I've unpacked and thoroughly tested it, so that's why it is a little bit dirty, so you just got to forgive me here because I've been absolutely enjoying this thing. Now, I'm just very quickly, while it's here, going to talk about some parts to get them out of the way very quickly. So you've got your little battery ports just here, and that's obviously to charge your battery, so you can plug that into your charger. And you've got here, so this is your video out. So if you want to plug this into the side of your, just here, into the side of your Dominators, you can plug it there, you can get some video out. Or if you want to use it, you can also use an external receiver and plug it in and plug this end into an external receiver and get some video in as well. So that's what that's for, also for the audio and stuff as well. So we're not going to be going through those cables in too much detail. Just this part right here, you do get two little foam pads, so that's simply to press into here, and I feel like they are different. One feels like it has a bit of a thicker ridge at the end, so I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. So I've chosen the thinner one because it just fits more better on my face. Maybe I have a big fat wide head, but if you need a bit more cushioning, I guess you've got this second one as well. And then the other little cable that we'll quickly talk about, because I do want to talk about the battery and the headset itself in detail. This is just a little HDMI port, so you get some couple little HDMI things to plug into your goggles, and also some little adapters, so you can use it sort of with your computer or sort of anything that has a HDMI device, and that's the cable that comes with it. Anyway, enough chit chat about those boring parts. Let's get started and let's talk about the headset. Alrighty, now when you do get the headset, your foam is not going to be attached. You're actually going, oh, I just ripped my foam a little bit, okay, so I'm not going to pull that off, but you're actually going to have to stick this little bit of a sticker on here, and then you carefully peel that off and put your foam on. So that's how it is held in place by, I guess, a bit of Velcro. Mine did come, I guess it felt a little bit squished in there, so I feel like I have these permanent dents where maybe some cables or something was poking into that, so that's a little bit annoying, but I do have no light leakage when I do have these on, so up here anyway, so that doesn't concern me too much. And you're also going to have to forgive this hole right here where it looks like someone burned it through with a cigarette. I did that with my soldering iron because I was using, I guess, like a bit of a diversity module that I was putting in these goggles, and I just happened to cram it in this side, and I needed somewhere for it to sort of come out. So I've been masking taping that closed until basically I can get a proper cover for it. But that is why this one looks like that. Normally when you get yours, it's not going to look like someone's burnt a big hole through it. Alrighty, so let's go through a bit of some of the controls and what these goggles can actually do. So right here you've got your channel buttons, and to be honest I don't find myself using those very much. Just here you've got a little bit of some controls, so you can adjust your contrast by going, I think it's forwards and backwards, and your brightness by going left and right, and if you press it in, that's going to switch between 2D and 3D mode. Over this side you've got some volume if you want to adjust, I guess, how loud it is in your earphones if you are using some volume, some audio. And over here, this is all about the controls if you're going to be recording your DVR. And just here, this enables your head tracker. But to be honest, I've had zero experience with the head tracker. I have no idea how that works because I definitely don't think that's for FPV racing. Anyway, on the front just here, you can see that it does have a bit of a module bay. And this is where your receiver is going to go. So bear with me while I open this, and we'll see if we can get this opened. Alrighty, so I got this opened, and this is a little bit of dirt in there actually. Don't worry, yours will come clean. That's because I've been using mine pretty much very excessively over the past 2 weeks. What you will find in here is there is space to put in your little receiver. So this is going to be where your video receiver is going to be coming, and that's sort of going to be collecting the signal that's sent from your quad and straight to your goggles so you can see. And this is, in my opinion, pretty much one of the biggest upgrades that happened with this sort of generation of Fatsharks. because you can see here on my old Attitudes, they're actually, this receiver is built in, and this was just pretty much an old 8-channel receiver. So this is one of the biggest upgrades, I think, in the current generation of Fat Sharks, is how you can put in any external receiver that you like, because that is going to give you a lot of flexibility. But it's worth noting that these ones don't actually come with a receiver. So I think it is the cheaper Attitude V3s that come with some Fat Shark receivers. But the beauty about these ones, they can use any receiver that you like. So I've got this one just here. Now it's really simple to install. All you have to do is slide it in and you are ready to go. And if I put this across over on this side, I would have 40 channels of diversity, which is fantastic. It is super easy to scan, and pretty much that is one of the biggest benefits, in my opinion, is just that ability to have a modular receiver bay. Now over this side you do have your bay for your head tracker, but once again I don't really know too much about that, and you do get this little door cover that comes with it as well, so that's where I've been putting my other, I guess, diversity receiver, so that simply slides on just here. On the side you've got your power jack, so that's where you power it by your battery, and we'll talk about the battery in a little bit as well. And right here, this is either your video in if you're using an external receiver, or your video out if you want to put this video out to another source for some reason. Now on the bottom right here, you do have some adjustments, so depending on how far your eyes are apart from each other, you can make it wider or narrower to better suit your face and get a little bit more focus. Right here you've got a little switch, and this is the option to turn your internal receiver on or off, and then you've also got your headphone jack right here. Now this jack on this side, this is for the head tracker, so I don't know too much about that one. And this one's pretty cool. This is only on the Dominator range, so this is on the Dominator V3s and the HD V2s. This is your HDMI, why did I say that so funny? This is your HDMI input, and that's been fantastic. So if you want to fly a Phantom around with this on, or do some bit of filming, you're going to get some pretty much amazing FPV footage when you're using some of these. Or, as I've been using it, if you want to hook these up to the simulator and fly it off your computer, you can pretty much hook it up to your goggles straight there. So that is fantastic, because I know it feels very different flying on the sim when you're just looking at the screen compared to when you're actually flying the sim through the goggles. So just that next level of immersion, and is going to help those newer pilots, I guess, get more and more stick time so they can feel more and more comfortable when they're flying. Now if we flip it over in the middle right here, you'll see you've got a tiny little gap just here, and this is for your SD card. I think it can hold up to a 32 gigabyte SD card. I'll just check that one actually. Yep, I was correct. You can put up to a 32 gigabyte card in there, and that is going to last forever, because it's not going to record your HD image if you're sort of streaming into the HDMI, but it will record your standard analog video, so some of your FPV racing. Now one thing to note, and I'll show this a little bit later, if you're getting this just for the DVR, to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed when it comes to the DVR quality of this, because watching this back, I think it never looks as bright or as vibrant as if I'm using sort of a dedicated DVR recorder, and also it seems a lot more glitchy. So sometimes when I've turned it on, my goggles have wigged out a little bit and been a little bit strange when I've gone to power on my DVR, so I'm not 100% sure what is going on there. And it also feels like if you watch, if I'm sure a lot of other pilots could agree with me here, if you watch your DVR back, sometimes it looks terrible, and you think there's no way I had that much interference or that much dropout when I was flying around as compared to what's on the DVR. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. But in my personal experience, I actually find the DVR makes your flight footage look a bit worse in terms of quality than what you're actually seeing in the goggles. So I don't think it's a true or accurate representation of what you're actually seeing. It actually makes it look a little bit worse, which is a bit disappointing, because if you watch this and you think, oh, is that all it looks like? It actually looks a bit better when you got it on the goggles or you're actually flying around. So the DVR doesn't do it justice, so I do wish they'd upgrade that. Alrighty, and now I guess we'll talk about the important part. So this is the lenses and the pixels that are inside here. So this has, let me just find this, I think it's 720 pixels by 4, oh there's another battery. They always seem to go off when I'm recording, or maybe I'm just recording too much. But in here the pixels of these ones are 720 by 480. So that is pretty much a 16 by 9, sort of that widescreen image, and that is totally different to what is in the HD V2s. So these V3s, they have the widescreen sort of image, and the HD V2s, which are a little bit more expensive but have a lot of the same similar features, they have the 14 by 3 aspect ratio. So why, Stuart, why is that important? Radio, and the reason that's important is because currently when we're flying around, most 99% of our FPV cameras, they're putting out like the HS1177, they are all in a 4 by 3 ratio. So when you've got them on something like the Dominator V2, the Dominator HD V2s, which is not what these are, the image is not distorted at all, and it is pretty much a 1-to-1 ratio of what it would look like when you're flying. So whatever your camera is transmitting, that's exactly what you are seeing on your goggles, compared to when you're flying around like this. Now what this is doing, this is taking that sort of square image and it's actually stretching it out a little bit across the screen inside here. So your image in this is actually not true to form, it is actually a little bit distorted. But before you guys freak out, hear me out here. I actually think that this is a good thing. Well, how can that be a good thing, Stuart? Please explain that to me. Well, you see, when you're flying around with this is, and look, this is just my experience when flying with these. I actually thought I was really going to miss flying in the old 4:3 sort of ratio. But since switching over and testing these goggles out, I've actually found that because it stretches your image out, it actually feels like you get those tiny little small gaps that you might have been trying to shoot through. It actually stretches those out and makes those feel a little bit bigger. So I've actually found hitting the smaller gaps with these goggles even easier, which is a fantastic, I guess, unexpected side effect of flying in that sort of widescreen ratio. Because, look, I thought I wasn't going to enjoy it, and it hasn't been that bad at all. I actually think I might prefer it, especially when it comes to hitting those smaller gaps. What I will be interested to see is going back and seeing how I do fly on my old Attitude and seeing those things a bit differently. But at the moment, I'm loving flying with these. I can't see myself going back anytime soon. Now, speaking of those little screens in here, the lenses of these ones and also the HD V2s, they are made out of glass, so they are pretty much a much higher quality, or the image looks a bit sharper. I can remember when I first tried on my friend's HD V2s, and I was blown away at just how much clearer those things look compared to the plastic lenses that is in sort of these Attitude V2s. So that is one fantastic thing about this generation of goggles, or this higher end sort of one. The optics that they use in here are fantastic. They look crystal clear, which I absolutely love. Now these optics have a 30-degree field of view, which actually makes it feel a little bit, I guess, a little bit further away from you, whereas if you have the HD V2s, they feel a lot closer. And I'm not 100% sure what the HD V2's field of view is, but this one has a 30-degree field of view. So still very, very immersive, but it is definitely more center focused, and it has less sort of peripheral than if you're using the HD V2s. What we should do now, actually, let's talk about the battery, because then I'll be able to talk about the fan that it works with as well. Rightio, so here's the battery, and this used to be one of my biggest gripes, and it's great to see this has been upgraded a little bit, because these only used to be 1000 milliamp hours, so they would go pretty much dry very quickly, and I found they were very difficult to balance charge, because look, they were some of the worst batteries traditionally I had ever seen. But it's great to see, and a lot of reviews online as well, that these new ones are a little bit better. One of the cool, this size is a bit better at 1800 milliamp hours and sort of the same form factor, so it is going to last quite a bit longer. And one of the coolest things just here, you have this little sort of LED slider, so you can see, hopefully that's coming up there, that I have 3 out of 4 battery bars, so I'm at about 75% capacity right here. So I've still got a bit to go, which is fantastic, because sometimes if you're picking these up and you're in a bit of a rush and you don't know which battery is which, yeah, you could use a battery checker, but if it's built in, why not? So I think that's fantastic. Now, something that a lot of you guys might take for granted if you've already got these goggles, but something that I didn't have for a long time, was the ability to just plug in this fan faceplate. So all you have to do is simply plug in the balance side of things right here, and then all you have to do is press this little button, and that's going to spin this fan up for 10 minutes. So it's not going to idle forever, because you don't want to accidentally leave it plugged in and suck all your battery down, and that's going to start this little fan up. Now, why would you want a fan? Well, back in the day when these things used to have eye cups, so before they had this sort of nice faceplate right here, these goggles used to get very, very foggy when you're wearing them, because the hot air from your eyes, I guess, or the moisture from your eyes, especially if it was cold out, would really fog up and make it hard to see. So on the lenses right here, it's great that this little fan now pumps out all the air out here, so it pretty much defogs the lenses if you ever get any fog. So that's fantastic. You never really have to worry about having foggy lenses again. Rightio, so with all that said and done, and I'll roll you some DVR footage here towards the end of the video so you're able to see for myself, let's talk about some improvements or some things I think about these Fatsharks that could be even better. Number one, the price. They are expensive. Everything else in this hobby is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and Fatshark makes some fantastic goggles, and that's why most people fly them, but they are so expensive. So that is a little bit of a shame, because it is such a better experience when you're flying around with some good goggles, that it's really hard when it can be so expensive. Number two, something I don't like is the DVR quality. So I really do wish that was better. I'm not 100% sure what is going on in there, but I really wish, look, it doesn't matter what SD card I've used, the quality is the same, I guess, in terms of it's a little bit lower than what you actually see through the goggles. So I wish it was a fair representation. The colors look so bland in here, and I have no idea why that is, compared to my external DVR. I do wish they'd change this part here. I know nowadays a lot of people are using a LaForge style sort of module or something to put in here to get a bit of a diversity. I have never met anybody who flies with a head tracker. So I have no idea why they're keeping this here. So there's a ton of room in here, and I do wish they would sort of, I wish they could actually just make it a bit cheaper. I've never used a head tracker. I've never seen anyone who's used them. So just take this out, save us a bit of money, and I guess leave a bit of a space in there that we can actually stick an external diversity receiver in there if we want to. And maybe include a spare one of these plates as well. So if you lose one of these, maybe even some different size ones that could clip over, so some sort of extended ones or some bigger ones, that would be very, very cool, because I know a ton of people are 3D printing their own custom ones to fit on the outside of whatever their third-party module is that they're putting there. But overall, an awesome goggle, so a definite massive upgrade for me, and I'm loving flying around with these, especially when you put in an external module and you've got those crystal clear sort of glass displays right here. I'm absolutely loving it, so I'm having a blast. I can't see myself ever going back, I guess, unless there's a bit of an emergency or these break, to my Attitude V2s, but it's always nice to have, I guess, a spare pair of goggles. I'm very, very lucky that way. Alrighty, so I'm going to roll some DVR footage, and I just want to point out that there's no way that it looks this dreary when we were flying around. It definitely looked a lot better than that, and also wasn't dropping out this much, because if it was dropping out as much as it is in this clip, I'd definitely be checking my video and finding out what was going on, because it's just really peculiar. I really think other people might have this experience too, that the DVR doesn't do it justice. Rightio, so here it is, and this is just me being silly, because my little nephew is 5 years old. He just tried on the goggles for the first time, so I was going to sort of take him for a bit of a spin, so that's why I'm mucking around there. But you can see straight away just how dreary it looks. Like, none of the colors are very vibrant at all, and it almost feels like it's not dropping a few frames, but the frame rate definitely seems a lot slower. Now, you can getting a few flickers right there, and it definitely doesn't look like your normal snow when you're flying around. It's sort of taking up the whole, I guess, like a big band across the screen. I think in a minute, in a couple of seconds, actually, I cut to a little bit of footage and I'm doing some flips and rolls, and it really looks like it's dropping out so much more so than if it was actually just the live feed. So you can see right there's a little bit, but right here, I never got this drop out. So things like that never happen in real life, just on the DVR. So there it is, there's my review of the Dominator HD V3s, and probably the biggest advice I can give people, if you're looking to spend this much money in these sort of goggles and these top-end Fatsharks, definitely go out and try them, or find somebody that can give you a go, because it is a massive personal preference between whether you want the 16:9 sort of aspect ratio or the 4:3s, because I know some people can't stand it, some people like it, and some people like me, I actually don't mind flying either, and I've really found myself sort of enjoying this one. I thought I wasn't going to like it, and it turns out it's awesome. One really cool feature I did notice, I felt like the 16:9 definitely stretched the image a little bit, so it made hitting those smaller gaps a little bit harder, but you do have a larger field of view in the Dominator V2s anyway, so that might make it a little bit bigger. But if you're rocking something like a Phantom, or you're going to be doing a bit of filming, definitely check these out, because these look fantastic in, I guess, when you've got some of those filming quads up. And then again, also, if you're just you wanting to get into the hobby but wanting to buy a really good pair straight up, I'm loving the HDMI I can't talk. I'm loving the HDMI input right here, because I can just hook this up to my sim and I can play Hot Props or FPV Freerider and do a bit of practice straight on my goggles, so that's definitely recommended. Anyway, hopefully that helps some of you guys out there. A really, really high quality pair of goggles, but also very, very expensive. A little bit cheaper than the HD V2s, but definitely you need to weigh all those options up. Anyway, subscribe for more FPV related content. I hope that helps some of you guys out there, and as always, happy flying!